The outside world is beckoning at this point. Dougie, welcome into the Colorado Prep Show presented by Upswing. I'm the editor-in-chief of Colorado Prep's Dan Mohrmann, the editor-in-chief of Mile High Sports Magazine, Doug Ottewill, with me as always. Dougie, we've done some good work on the magazine, a lot of high school content hitting the stands here in about, what would we say, 10 days?
Oh man, it's coming. It should be Monday. A week from today, actually, we should have some magazines in hand. It could be cutting it close for showtime, so we may have to really highlight it the following week, but they'll be out next week.
A lot of good stuff. The high school rankings, always a good read. The number one team, we're not going to spoil it here, but the number one team is a team you may not expect. What I am going to expect is probably a text message, email, or phone call from Jason Wilkins up at Cherry Creek. But, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. As we start the show every week, we talk about what's on our upswing. And Dougie, we're back outdoors. I'll tell you what, I saw an Instagram reel this week, and I've been thinking about it ever since. There are no two different temperatures in this world than 60 degrees in March and 60 degrees in September. And we are feeling that very much. Spring sports is in full swing. Baseball games are underway. Soccer games are underway. Lacrosse, track and field meets have been happening. And we're going to start getting really, really deep into that. We're fully engulfed in spring sports, and it's going to be a fun ride. What's on your upswing, Dougie?
Well, I know you said we're not going to reveal the winner, and we will tease the fact that high school ranking is going to come out next week. But my upswing is my alma mater, the North Glen Norse, who made the list this year. I'm not going to tell you where. Readers can find it. I know that your Manitou Mustangs also made the list.
They did.
So I think my upswing is, hey, these are two schools, and Manitou Springs, it makes it occasionally. North Glen.
I actually don't know if the Stangs have been left off the list since I've joined the staff at Mile High.
Yeah, you're probably right. They don't rank typically very high. I think this year was a pretty good year for them. I won't reveal it again, but the Norse are rarely on the list, and they made it this year. So my upswing is to a little shout out to my alma mater, North Glen Norsemen.
Well, you know what it takes to get on that list, Dougie, is elite training and motivation. And you can find that with our friends at Upswing, the presenting sponsor of the Colorado Prep Show, located at 7460 South University Boulevard. With experienced coaches in a safe, high-performance environment, Upswing helps young athletes discover their true potential as they go through that process. Of course, they need recovery. I talk about it every time that we're on here. I'll walk into the facility. I'll see the jacuzzi, the sauna, and those loungers with the Normatec compression boots just sitting there waiting. I mean, recovery at Upswing just helps young athletes prevent injuries, bounce back faster, and keep progressing towards their dreams. We are now away from winter sport dreams, and we're on to spring sport dreams. We're going to talk with someone about those dreams here in just a second. And it all sounds expensive, right? You can look at the price tag of a set of Normatec boots, and the price right there might take you back a little bit. So when you think of everything that Upswing offers, sounds like an expensive deal, but Upswing scholarships are available, and Upswing removes cost barriers so young athletes can access world-class training and recovery. Again, you can learn more at upswingfoundation.org. Normally we bring in our guy, Jermaine Stafford, but I think Jermaine has taken advantage of a little bit of the spring break situation. A lot of schools are doing that the same. Baseball teams are traveling everywhere. So I reached out to one baseball coach who I usually hang out with every spring. Spoiler, he gave me the hat right here. And we're going to bring in University head coach Casey Miller. Casey, I know you've got practice at 12:30, so thanks for making some time with us.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you gentlemen.
We're happy to have you.
Your first overstatement of the day, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's okay. We can always regress back. We want to set the bar high.
Always set the bar high. In all the time that you and I have talked together, I think the one thing that I really don't know is your general background in what you did baseball-wise growing up and how you ended up getting into the job at university and thriving the way that you have. So where does your baseball journey begin?
I'm from a small town in northeastern Colorado called Wiggins, Colorado. So good old Wiggins Tigers is where I graduated from. Out of high school, I played junior college baseball in Colby, Kansas. And then after Colby, I finished up my education at Metro State in downtown Denver.
And then what brought you, at what point did you know you wanted to jump into the coaching world?
In high school, actually, I had a really good high school coach, Josh Langford. He's currently the head coach in Fort Morgan still. He was a Colby alumni, so that was kind of my dream to follow in his footsteps. And then just a really good role model at a young age. And when I was at Metro State, my wife took a job at CSU, and so that's what took us to Northern Colorado. And then I was an assistant coach for Brad Deal over at Windsor for 5 years. While I was his assistant coach, I was teaching at university schools in Greeley. And then when the university job opened up in 2018, I jumped on it and was hopeful they would give me the opportunity, and they did, and it's been great since. Just being in building with elementary kids and seeing them grow up to high school kids, because we're a K-12 charter school there.
Coach, a couple of questions. One a little bit random, but when you said your time frame, I was curious if you played baseball at Metro with Jared Devine.
I actually did not play at Metro.
Okay.
I had a workout with them and Coach Perico. They offered me a walk-on spot, and when I weighed my options of how do I pay my rent, how do I pay for food and insurance, baseball at Metro State in 2005 wasn't going to get me that, so I had to join the workforce, and so unfortunately didn't get to play for the Roadrunners, but big fan of their program.
Well, next question, and this is kind of, you talk about Wiggins and where you're at now, obviously, but like, what is it about baseball in that part of the state? It seems like consistently it just churns out good players, good teams. I mean, and even if we're talking about clubs, I know that a lot of the players that are part of some really successful clubs come from that area of the state. What do you think it is culturally, facilities, tradition? I'm not really sure, but it sure seems like that's the case in that part of the state.
I just think it's the popularity of the sport altogether. When I was growing up, and this was decades ago, we just played for our hometown team, and you took pride in playing for your high school team in the summer. But now there's just so much more talent that they need to be showcased all over the state, if not all over the country. And so just the popularity of the game is growing, and that's exactly what we want in the baseball community. And so I think it's good for everyone, and it makes high school baseball super competitive at all levels.
I think back to 2018. I was up there for that first state championship win that you guys had. You went back to back. And then we'll ask you about this one in a minute. I think that 2020 team had a shot to do something very, very special. But you've been in that state championship game now 6 of the last 7 years where we've played spring sports, not counting the COVID year. But, what goes into building that kind of culture and making sure that you're getting that turnover in talent that, when a senior class leaves, you're able to rely on some of those kids that have been developing with you over the last couple of seasons?
Yeah, I think that's what every high school coach and every high school coach, the program itself is trying to get done. And I can just rely on my sub-varsity coaches and how hungry the kids are and how coachable they are, because I don't think we do anything special or anything different than other schools do. I think our kids are special, and I think their work ethic is special, and just their hunger to be coached at a high level. And so it comes down to the boys that we get. And like I mentioned, we're a K-12 charter school, so I think the relationships that we build is maybe something that not other teams can do, because I know these kids from first graders, fifth graders, meet them in middle school, and then by the time they get to the varsity level, there's just a nice relationship that's already built. The respect is there both ways. I respect all of our players, and so I think that's something unique that we have at University.
And you're not the only program in that area, especially at 3A, that does a good job of churning out great players. Todd Hernandez has done a great job at Eaton. That 2020 season, I think that would have been Walker Martin's freshman year, but you had a stacked team coming back from that 2019 state championship. How much fun would that season have been to see that play out, and if you guys had gotten to the state tournament to face each other?
We think about it and we talk about it still to this day. I still have a lot of the same coaches on staff with me, and we always reminisce at times about the alumni guys or the guys that lost their senior year, because we had some good seniors that year, great senior leadership. But I know Resurrection Christian was going to be loaded that year. Delta Panthers on the other side of the state, they were going to be really good, and then Eaton's always good, and so it would have been a fun season, just like it is every year.
And then, since then, again, you continue to churn out players who just have big time impacts. And a kid I think about, and I bumped into him at state basketball, and this is why it jumps in my head. But, I think it was 2 years ago, you pretty much threw Gage Viken in there in a spot start in the state tournament. And you had to have a young kid, just really kind of hold down the fort for one game. And that kid did more than what was asked of him. And he's just turned into such a solid player, and I think a good leader for you guys. So, talk about Gage a little bit and kind of how he reflects what your program, is consistently able to do with its roster.
Well, just seeing that picture of sophomore Gage Viken, it makes me smile, because he's matured in so many ways, more than just physically. He is an actual pitcher, and he commands multiple pitches, and he can throw them any count for a strike. And it's been wild to see him mature as a player and a person. And he put us on his back that day, because if my memory serves correct, and it might not, but I'm pretty sure that was against a really good Bertha team that got up on us early. And we went with a right-hand pitcher that day, Caleb Tejada. We knew that he was going to throw strikes, and sometimes in state baseball, that's all you want. You just want a strike thrower, and you hope they hit the ball to you. And so Caleb did everything we asked him to do. They were just having a great offensive day, and so as coaches, we knew we had this little lefty in the bullpen, and that little lefty came in and shoved, and we got our barrels going, and that was a great comfort behind win for us, and got us to the state championship, at least that year.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something earlier, Coach, when you talked about playing for your high school. And we have a new issue of Mile High Sports coming out, and we have a great article, kind of a back and forth, pros and cons of club versus high school, and how they work together and maybe where they don't. In your experience, what are some of the challenges that high school baseball coaches are facing with club programs being so prominent now? And what are some of the benefits? And then lastly, what's the high school game provide that a club can never provide?
I'm going to tackle your last question first. What a high school program that maybe a club struggles with is we have the ability just to practice more. And I kind of think that should be the blueprint for baseball development. Instead of playing 6 games to 1 practice, we try to do it the other way, and 6 practices to 1 game. We don't always have that luxury once we're settled into season, but I just think from the ages 13 to 18, it's got to be all about development. So that's why I really appreciate being a high school coach, is because we have so much more opportunity to practice. Summers are crazy for everyone, and so I don't think the club can physically practice that much. Now, there's a lot of good clubs out there that I think for them 2 or 3 practices a week is golden. But I know that there's a lot of clubs out there that just don't have that opportunity either. It's maybe 1 Wednesday practice, and then they're back on the road for the weekend. And so I think that's the one thing that high school can offer. On the flip side of what club baseball does for high school, it's just running into bigger and better competition. They can travel all over the country. They can play in tournaments where there's showcases, and they can be seen by college coaches. And so just getting their name out there and showcasing themselves and their talents, that's one thing that's tough to do at 3A baseball, because there's not always high level pitching and you speak about Walker Martin. That was one thing that made a lot of major league executives kind of nervous, is that he was coming from this small Colorado 3A league. What's he going to do at the next level? Because he doesn't get to face the Cherry Creeks or the Fossil Ridges or the Mountain Vistas or the high level baseball in Colorado. But I'm certainly glad the Giants took a risk with him, and I follow his career very closely, and I'm a huge fan of Walker Martin, and I'm glad that he's showing well in the Giants organization.
When I'm planning out my state championship coverage in the spring, my anchor point is always I'm going to be at 3A baseball, and then I will build everything else around it. I love working that tournament, one, because of the site directors and everyone. It is run so well and so clean, and John Hafley has always been a big reason for that. I want you to tell me how emotional was last year, and you and I were both there with John going through what he did, being able to go out and throw the first pitch on championship Saturday before going home that same day and passing away after his battle with cancer. How emotional was that for you, for the program, for the school as a whole?
Yeah, Mr. Hafley, he's been huge in my development as a coach. Just looking up to him as a mentor and having a really good relationship with him. Really, since I've been the head coach at university, he has a lot of university ties, and he is a key figure in the Greeley community. And so that was a big motivational factor for us to get to that game last year, just to help honor him and just everything that him and his family went through. It was super emotional, and just seeing his pictures now kind of brings back the feels from that Saturday. And great man. He is missed every day, and I was very fortunate just to get to know him and hopefully help carry on his legacy here in Greeley and through university schools.
And it was funny because I talked with John Sullivan on my way home that day, and I think he and I were we had a lot of emotion about the whole thing for different reasons, because I'm trying to look at the positive of it, and I couldn't think of a better way to go out than to hang on to be able to throw that pitch at a place that you've done so much good. John, I think John carried a lot of guilt because he doesn't know if that had an impact with him maybe going sooner than later. But is there a more fitting tribute for a man to be able to come out and give him that honor, at that spot, especially with how physically tough that had to be for him?
No, I just think it just kind of highlights his work ethic and what drives him. We saw how physically hard it was for him that day, and going through a lot of stuff, even 10, 15 minutes before he was able to make that pitch. And just like John does, it was a strike right down the middle, and no questions asked about that. And I think I think it was a focal point for him. He wanted to get that pitch off, and he did everything in his power. And I'm very thankful for his family to letting all of the baseball community share that moment with him. And so it just shows you exactly who John Hafley is. He's a grinder. He's a worker. And if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
And I think that, my hope is, that kind of mentality can kind of translate to your team. And I mentioned Gage a few minutes ago, but before we let you go, Doug and I each have one more. I want you to give me 3 kids on your team besides Gage, because we've mentioned them, that we need to be paying attention to every week as we continue to talk about baseball.
I will start with Damian Alvarez. He is our shortstop, and he's our leadoff hitter this year. This past weekend, we went over to the Western Slope. He went 8 for 9 on the weekend with a handful of walks, couple triples, home run last week against Holy Family. I think he's hitting upwards of 675, somewhere around there right now. So Damian's definitely going to be a guy to keep your eye on. And then we also have Derek Casillas. He's going to be our second baseman and pitcher. He's our 2-hole. He already has 3 home runs this season. Last weekend in Rifle, he was our starting pitcher. He threw a complete game no-hitter in 5 innings. And after the top of the 5th, we came in, and I kind of did a rally cry with the guys, and I said, hey, the no-hitter's already been done. And I know you're not supposed to talk about a no-hitter ever. I said, the no-hitter's done. Now it's up to us to go get that 1 run to end the game, because we were the home team. And so if we scored 1 run, game over. And so we get 2 outs pretty quick. Damian comes up and he gets on, and then Derek's up to bat with the winning run on second, and Derek hits a home run. And so he went complete game, no hitter, walk off home run in the bottom of the 5th
to solidify his own no hitter.
yeah. I was hoping
that's clutch.
I was hoping the guys would pick him up and we'd just score a quick one. But once he got up with 2 outs and the winning run on second, he did what he needed to do, and it was a no-doubter. It was out of the yard in a hurry, and that was pretty cool for Derek. That's his first varsity start as a pitcher for us, and he did really well. And then I would say our third guy, it's going to be a big guy that we rely on to help extend our pitching staff. It's going to be our sophomore Aiden Solano. And Dan, you saw him last spring, those last 4 innings against Coleridge. He gave up 3 hits in 4 or 5 innings. And so now he's a sophomore. He's 1 more year mature physically and mentally, and he's a big arm. He's going to be around mid 80s, and that's big for us. And so he gives us the opportunity just to extend our pitching staff past Gage Viken and Joel Ramirez. Joel Ramirez is another kid that's going to be huge for us. I could brag on him for a long time too. But those 3 guys, Gage, Joel, and Aiden Solano, it's honestly 3 aces that we're going to rely heavily on.
And that's what you need when you get to the state tournament. You need 3 arms, 3 very good, reliable arms.
At least 3.
Yeah, I'm no Billy Bean, but when you're throwing out things like 8 for 9 at the plate, complete game no hitters, I mean, these sound like pretty good things you got going, Coach. I'm going to twist Dan's question a little bit. And instead of three guys on your own team, I want you to give me 3 teams that you guys might face or that you're familiar with that you think will also factor in as we get into late May.
All right, that's a fun one. I'll start at the top. Those boys up north, the Eaton Reds, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. They're a well-coached team. Me and Coach Hernandez, we have a good relationship, and he's got a talented group this year. And I don't have to talk much about him, but Gunnar Garrison, he's a big arm, and Arizona State commit, touched 96 last week, and that's one thing that we'll have to get ready to face come April. And so obviously Eaton's going to be solid. We saw Colorado Academy earlier this year, and they just had one of those days in baseball where it didn't go their way, but I know that they're continuing to get stronger, and they're going to get better, and they're going to lengthen their lineup. They've got a really good pitcher in Kieran Delaney, and he's their shortstop. He's their leadoff hitter. And so starting with those 2, and then I honestly think Coleridge is going to be in the mix once they kind of find their groove. Montezuma Cortez is going to be solid. We play a team this week, Elizabeth. We play Elizabeth on Thursday, and Elizabeth is going to be really tough as well. And so you asked me to list 3. There's probably 5 or 6 teams that can win it all this year. And so we'll just get to May and see who peaks at the right time and see who can stay healthy. And I think just like the last 6, 7, 8 years, it's going to be a fun time at Butch Butler come late May.
Which I'm always looking forward to. So the one thing, your one loss this year is to a Holy Family team that very much looks like it could be a threat in 4A. They're just a couple years removed from a state championship of their own. So, that's probably going to be a good game to have under your belt as you see tougher and tougher competition. And, maybe that team up north that you just mentioned. So the only other thing, Casey, is you can see these baseballs over my right shoulder. One of them is from 2018 from Butch Butler Field. I always try and swipe one from the state championship games that I've got. So that I work. I've got one signed by Coach Ramirez. So, your goal should be having to sign a baseball for me at the end of this year.
I hope I get that opportunity. While we're talking about stuff in our backdrop, let me clarify this nice little rainbow ribbon we have going on. We celebrated my daughter's 10th birthday yesterday, and so we still have some decor up around the house.
Outstanding.
You know what? It's if she's 10, then it's a birthday week. That's all I know.
It really is. Yeah.
And I'm sure if you were doing something for your son, we'd see an issue of Mile High Sports Magazine with Bo Nix on the cover around there somewhere.
It's in his bedroom right now.
Awesome. Casey, thanks for joining us. We know you got to get going, get your boys to practice, but you will see me on the diamond at some point soon, I promise.
I can't wait. I always look forward to running into you.
All right. Have a good one,
luck,
Casey.
Coach.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
I love chatting baseball with Casey. It gets me excited for a good season ahead. He's right along those guys with like Cheyenne Mountains. Mark Swope is a guy that I really enjoy chatting with. Mark Johnson, of course, back in the day for Cherry Creek. We're going to get more into the spring sports stuff later, but on the other side of this break, we're bringing back our social media guy, Jared Harding from Tewdilly. Am I still saying that right, Doug?
No, that was good. Well done.
All right. It's just gotta start flowing a little more naturally. So we've got our update with him. He saw some great stuff at state basketball and wants to continue to educate us on high school athletes and their social media journey. So we'll be right back with Jared Harding right after this.
A little more slack.
Whoever said work smarter, not harder, didn't realize you could do both.
This is Tim Anderson of Gordon Insurance, and we are proud to support all of our area athletes. With offices in Lyman, Callahan, Flagler, Sterling, and Kit Carson, we offer all types of insurance, including home, auto, commercial, farm, crop, life, bonds, and workman's compensation. We are independent and thus can offer you multiple choices of companies, not just one. Call or visit the office near you, and one of our agents can take care of you. See all of our contact information by going to www.gordonins.com or call me at 719-740-1361.
Yo, I can guard pro in these.
I can guard you and route you up.
You sure about that?
You fellas looking for a quarterback?
The goal!
You're right, Billy. These do bring out my eyes.
Every shoe for every athlete.
Dix is the GOAT.
Welcome back into the Colorado Prep Show presented by Upswing. Dan Mohrmann, Doug Ottewill. And there he is on the bottom of the screen, Jared Harding. Real quick, before we get into your social media stuff, Jared, I just want to make sure everyone knew that I was not lying. This is a genuine baseball from University's 2018 state championship win. I like keeping mementos like that. So
Did you have viewers texting in saying you're lying?
No, but you could pretty much make up anything when you see a row of baseballs behind me. Just say, yeah, this is what it's from. So,
I got some stuff signed by Babe Ruth right back here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure
same ball.
Yeah, I'm sure the Beast didn't get that at all. So, Jared, welcome back to the program, man. We love having you. How's the week removed from state basketball been?
Oh, it was refreshing. It was a whirlwind, as you guys know, and I was only there a fraction of the time that you two were. I don't know how you guys do it, to be honest, but yeah, had a good week.
How was your recovery after playing on the court, the big court, Saturday morning?
It was. Or
is it still pending?
Yeah. The next couple days, oddly, I had like muscles in my feet and like lower calves that were really sore, but I did okay, man. Thanks.
You got to get with Jermaine. Jermaine will fix it all.
That's right. Just walk into Upswing and hit the recovery center, and you're going to be great.
Yeah, that was a true highlight though, to get back on the court, man, and play. So thanks for that invite. It's
fun as we're kind of going through this journey with you, and we were texting back and forth a little bit this morning, and there's a little bit of what are we trying to touch on? What are we trying to educate the kids with? Yeah. And you're a basketball guy, so it kind of begged the question of basketball season just ended. So what now? What's going on for these kids now that their season has ended? They're still trying to get recruited. Their social media platforms are still a tool for that. So as we get into the off season, what do you think those kids need to be looking into in terms of posting, just to make sure that one, they're kind of staying out there and relevant, mm-hmm. and that they're fitting those guidelines that you see now as what they need to fit into with, for coaches to either take notice or evaluate them?
Yeah, you bet. That's a great question. So at the tournament, at the finals a week ago Saturday, I did get an opportunity to sort of have the VIP treatment thanks to you guys, and was on the court and had access to talk to several coaches and a handful of players as well. And one thing that kept coming up was I'd ask them about what they're doing on social media and with NIL, and it was on their radar, and they knew that there were things that they should be doing, but there was a general sort of they're generally unsure of what exactly they should be posting and how they should be building their NIL. And so one thing that's, you just asked in the off season, what are the types of posts they should be doing? What should they be concentrating on? You're going to get used to me saying that I try not to be rigid in terms of, or formulaic in terms of what kids or athletes should be doing on social media. There's so many things that they could be doing. But, I always like to start with why. Why are they posting on social media at all? And to me, it has to start with that, and has to start with telling their own story. So there's a lot of tactical ways athletes can tell their own story. It's not as easy in the off season, right? You don't have highlight clips being handed to you, or action photos from your games being handed to you to post. Those are easy things to post. But continue doing that, I would say, with your club team, with your training in the off season. If you're working out with Upswing or wherever, off the court, you're doing agility work, you're doing strength work, post some of that. But then I also like athletes, I encourage families and players to showcase their personality, showcase things that might not have anything to do with their sport, but not just haphazardly. You have to start with why, so that you understand the intention behind what you're sharing. But it's sharing authentically, sharing what's real for you. And if you go on a family trip and there's a moment there that makes sense to share, I would encourage athletes to do that as well.
Jared, you spent a lot of time down at the Coliseum. You got a chance to talk to some pretty high-profile athletes. Brianna Crittenden, after her team had lost, Chloe Kane after her team had lost, Caleb Fay after his championship, and that's just to name a few. I know you talked to a bunch, but in these conversations, did you find that you learned anything new? Obviously, you're in the trenches all the time. Did you find anything that was kind of an affirmation of what you've been teaching kids? Just kind of give a breakdown of new things, things that made you feel good about where you're pointing kids in the right direction, things like that, throughout these conversations at the Coliseum.
Yeah, I would say more than anything, it validated the work that I've been doing with athletes and with kids. They underscored the confusion around what they should be doing. Caleb Fay, after he won his second state championship, I had the chance to talk with him, as you mentioned, and I asked him about NIL, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not. I obviously know about it, but it's not really on my radar yet." And I don't fault the kids at all. Like, this is still relatively new since 2021, the NIL stuff, and then you mentioned Chloe Kane as well. I would say Chloe is actually quite advanced, particularly for a freshman. She's already posting training clips, posting offer graphics that she's gotten from various universities, and then posting highlights. She has some off the court moments as well. So she's quite active, and is obviously getting some good guidance there. So I'd say there's a little bit of a scale in terms of where some of these high school athletes are, but the conversation's validated that there is a need for more support and guidance, because one thing that is a little frustrating, I think, for some of the players and their families is that they know they should be posting on social media, or at least to help raise awareness and stand out from other athletes, but they don't exactly know how often they should be posting, what they should be posting, or why they're posting. And so that's something that I think there's an opportunity to help with.
You mentioned Chloe doing some off-court stuff. You mentioned, kids posting non-sports stuff a few minutes ago. And that just got me thinking, is there a good balance in terms of using social media as a tool for trying to get recruited, but also mean, they're still kids, right? They're still 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. Is there a balance in terms of what they're using and what they want to put on social? You know, if it's prom pictures or if it's, you know, just like a Saturday at the beach on vacation after a season, like what's the right balance there?
Yeah. I think you need to be careful. So definitely, I definitely feel protective of these kids because they are kids. And, you know, one post can actually get an athlete in a lot of trouble if they post something that, you know, that is taken the wrong way. So I think that is more than anything why it's so important to really start with the foundation of why am I posting at all? What is it about me that I want to showcase? What is it about me as an athlete first, but then also as a human? And so there might be moments in your personal life that can reinforce some of those aspects. And there's going to be a lot of moments in your personal life that don't have anything to do with that and that you would want to steer clear of. However, I think most athletes are so focused on their sport and getting recruited and playing at the next level that they are so averse to posting anything that's at all personal, and they're sticking only to on-court highlights, that they're doing themselves a little bit of a disservice in that way. So it's really just reeling it back a bit, you know, looking sort of high level at social media as a tool. How can they utilize this tool to share their story in a way that's going to help them stand out to coaches and recruiters and ultimately build trust?
Yeah, you keep saying that word recruiting or recruiters. And now that we were wrapped up with the Winter Sports Championships, basically 2/3 of all the kids playing high school sports they're done. They're in their off season. When it comes to recruiting, what advice would you give parents or kids in terms of what they're doing in the off season?
Specifically on social media or just in general?
Well, I guess in general, but in terms of reporting or letting the world know on social media.
Yeah, I think it's really just sharing, documenting what's happening in their lives. So what are these athletes doing right now in the high school off season? A lot of them are playing on a club team. They're competing with that club team. They're training. They're working hard. Showcase those things. You want recruiters or coaches to know that you're continuing to work, you're continuing to progress and grow as an athlete. So that, I think that's the foundation of what you would be sharing, but it's not manufacturing content or trying to figure out what the coaches and recruiters might want to see and then just trying to do those things. It's really just documenting your life, segments of your life that are congruent with your objectives. And in this case, your objective is to get recruited to play at the next level and to start to build your NIL in a way that's consistent with who you are as a person and as an athlete.
Can there be some overkill on that? Like if you're a high school basketball player and you just wrapped up your season, and you're on spring break, do you need to show yourself, you know, a week after the season's over at 6:30 in the morning getting jump shots out? Like, you know, can there be an overkill element to that piece of it?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, then I think we're getting into a little bit of cadence or frequency of posts, right? How often should these athletes be posting? Is this something that they need to do on a daily basis? My answer to that is absolutely not. You don't need to post that often. Post when there's something interesting that you want to share. You do not need to just post every day about how hard you're working. But because think about it this way, if a coach goes to your profile, you're an athlete, they find you on Instagram, they start scanning your profile, they're going to look for signals across that profile that tell a little bit of a story about you. They don't need to see, 100 posts of you in the gym grinding in the morning. But if they saw a few of them, that would be sufficient. So, one other thing that I want to share, I talked with Coach Enoch Miller from Stanley Lake on the girls' side, and he had a really good perspective on this. He told me that with his kids, a lot of the parents are involved in terms of managing their daughters' social media accounts, and they share with their daughters what they're posting, but the parents are sort of there to have a layer of protection, and so that the kids can be kids and they're not getting sucked into being on these social platforms and go from creating and sharing content to consuming content, which we all know is so easy to do.
If a kid was to ask you, what's the one thing I absolutely should not do when posting in the off season, what would your answer be?
That's a good question, man. I mean, don't go dormant. I'd say do not just not post all off season. I think that would be a mistake. I mean, that's outside of the obvious. Like, don't do anything that's going to get.
I was going to say, don't post yourself speeding, going 90 miles an hour on I-25, right? That's
exactly.
gotta be up
outside of the obvious. Don't get yourself in trouble by posting something silly. Don't just turn off your Instagram account for the entire summer and do nothing. I think it is important, even if you're posting. I think I mentioned last time I was on the show, posting consistently doesn't mean daily, but it could mean weekly, or it could mean bi-weekly. It could mean monthly for an athlete, but do it consistently, whatever that consistently means to you at the time, so that you're not posting once or twice this week and then not posting for 3 or 4 months. I think that would be the biggest disservice.
Jared, you're a little more than a month into working with us here at Colorado Preps. A couple times on the show now, a lot of different social media clips that, we've shared or partnered with on the Instagram account at Colorado Preps.
Yep.
You've been writing a regular column. Based on what you've been doing, give us an idea of any kind of feedback that you've gotten from parents, kids, coaches, and then also tease what's coming up here in the next month.
Sure. Yeah. So the feedback that I've gotten so far is again been validating. It's been like, hey, like this is so relevant to what we're going through. The feedback's mostly come from parents of athletes, but a couple kids as well. And they've just told me, like, we really appreciate what you're doing because it's what's happening for us, and we do need this guidance. So in terms of what's coming up in the next month or so, some of that's TBD. I really do like to find things that are topical, respond to anything that comes up, but maybe it does make sense to get a little bit into what not to post or what not to do in addition to going dormant. I think that's one question, Dan, that you just asked that does come up a lot. Like, we kind of know we're supposed to post some highlights. You're telling us to get clear on who we are and to share some of our story. What are some other things that we shouldn't do? And just to tease that a little bit, there are a lot of other athletes out there that are posting. So one thing I would caution athletes not to do is just copying what other athletes do. What works for one athlete doesn't necessarily work for you. So figure out what your own rhythm is, your own unique style, and do that. Don't try to be someone you're not. So yeah, I'll stop there. But I really would love feedback from your audience, from you guys, so that I can tailor the written content, the social media content to what is the most sort of challenging, situations and questions that are coming up.
Jared, thanks so much, man. We love everything that you're doing. You can stay tuned. We've got more social media content coming this week. You'll have another article on coloradopreps.com next week, and we will
Plus the magazine.
Plus the magazine. We've got some good stuff coming in Mile High Sports Magazine. So thanks so much for your time, bud. And you can find all of your stuff available at coloradopreps.com and the Colorado Preps social media handles, as well as Tewdilly.com. And they've got the QR code on the link on the screen. And go ahead and scan that for more information. And yeah, let's get those kids educated on the social medias.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. You're getting better at pronouncing Tewdilly, by the way. The first time you said it before I hopped on was a little cleaner than the last time, but yeah, I know the spelling throws you off. It's like it's like totally, but Tewdilly
or Tewdilly.
Tewdilly.
Yeah, something like. I always used to joke when I first really got into this prep scene. I'd have the local Colorado Springs TV sports people. They would text me every Friday night going into their football shows. Hey, how do you pronounce this kid's name? I have no idea. I just need to know how to spell it. That's my thing. I'm the last guy you want to call for pronunciation.
Oh man, it's tough. I appreciate it. And the spelling is a little weird. So I say it every day, and I made up the name, so it's easy for me. But you're doing great, man. I appreciate it. And one quick tease for next week on social media for Mile High Sports will be focused on preps as well. So excited about that and the release of the magazine.
From the preps to the pros, we do it all.
Let's go. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Jared Harding. We'll talk to him more next week, Dougie. And, coming up after this break, we are, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're fully into spring sports. And so I want to highlight a couple of things that I'm really looking forward to. But I've also, since you were the one who just put together some high school rankings, I've got a little bit of a trivia bit for you. It's a general question. Did this team win a state championship last spring? And we're going to get that highlighted. So we'll have some Doug Ottewill high school rankings trivia right after this.
When I go to court, these aren't my clients. These are my friends. These are people that I believe in. And they have one shot, just one shot for justice. If they've come to me and we've gotten a trial, their life has been turned upside down in some awful way. I'm all they have. So if I haven't put the time in, if I haven't trained, if I haven't humbly looked in the mirror and thought about ways I can be better, and I don't present my best self in court, then I failed them. And that's what motivates me as a trial lawyer, because when this is over, that client goes home. And if I haven't done my best for him, I haven't been his champion, then I've failed.
Golf season is here, and Denver Golf Passes make it easier than ever to play. Start your golf journey with Learn and Play 1.0. 5 clinics, 5 rounds, 5 buckets. Already playing? Take your game up a level with Learn and Play 2.0. Or grab the Friends and Family Pass. 20 par 3 rounds and 30 mini golf or range sessions. And for new players wanting reps, the Practice and Play Pass gives you 10 rounds and 15 range buckets. Find the pass that fits your game. Visit cityofdenvergolf.com.
There are those who say the modern world has made us lose touch with places like this. We say, that depends on what you're driving.
Welcome back into the Colorado Prep Show presented by Upswing. Dan Mohrmann, Doug Ottewill. We're going to wrap this up fairly quickly, Doug. We've just put a magazine to bed. We're through with winter state championships. And I think we're both looking for a little bit of a breather today. So, but what I wanted to do was go through, and since we are in spring season now, and you just put together the high school rankings issue, I want to play a little bit of trivia just in terms of, did these schools, who are a lot of them are notable schools, did they win a spring state championship last spring? And it's just kind of a segue, or maybe like an appetizer into what the next couple weeks are going to uphold. So it's a simple yes or no answer, Doug. And if you can tell,
only last spring, not this past year.
Yes, just this last.
Okay.
So you're looking at baseball, track and field, lacrosse, soccer, boys swimming, boys volleyball. All the spring sports.
Gotcha.
Yes or no is all you need, but bonus points if you can tell me the sport.
Okay.
Cheyenne Mountain. Did Cheyenne Mountain win a spring state championship?
I'm going to say yes. And I believe they won. I'm just guessing here. I think that they won a track state championship.
No, they won girls tennis.
Oh.
So
wait a minute. Are you sure Cheyenne Mountain did not win a state championship in track?
Fairly confident that the Cheyenne Mountain Red-Tailed Hawks did not win a state championship in track. But we can. The fun part of this game is we can we can real time check this out.
Or you can move to the next one because, you know.
Why would we want to have fun doing that? 2025 girls tennis. That's it.
Okay.
They did win girls swimming in 2025, but that would have been last winter.
Gotcha.
On to the next. Mullen. Did the Mullen Mustangs win a spring state championship?
Mullen. No.
That is correct. They were runner-up in both boys swimming and girls golf.
They were good this year on the list, but they lacked state championships. I remember.
That's I was trying to trick you on that one. How about the Peyton Panthers?
Boy, Peyton Panthers. I'm gonna say yes, just because it's a really random choice for you to pull out of nowhere.
They won back-to-back boys track championships.
I can't tell you.
They won back-to-back boys state championships or boys track state championships in 2023, 2024. They were the runner-up last year. So the Panthers did not win a spring state championship.
Running my years together.
I know. This is why this is kind of fun for me. You know, when you start spending on this,
making me look dumb is fun for you.
I'm just trying to see how fresh your own content is in your mind. Valor Christian.
I'm going to say yes, just because they win something all the time.
Okay. Any guesses of what they would have won?
Let's see. What were they good at? I mean, obviously, I'm thinking about stuff like hockey, but that's not spring. I think that they were good in girls tennis also.
They did not win state in girls tennis. No.
Gosh. Golf.
They did win girls golf. They did win girls golf thanks to some monster efforts from a couple of Team Colorado players, which I'll get into in just a second. They won girls golf and girls lacrosse. They actually won 2 state championships last spring.
Okay, all right.
How about Eaton?
Eaton, sure, yes. Baseball.
They did not win baseball last year. Coleridge captured the 3A title, the first non-Patriot League team to win state since, I believe, 2016.
Okay, all right.
So Eaton was shut out of last year's spring sports. Colorado Academy.
Yes. Field hockey.
That's a fall sport.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Pencils would be disappointed.
I'm just gonna go yes. I don't know what they were.
I like this one because you probably will remember it now that I say it. They won girls golf and girls soccer on the same day. And they had a player who competed for both those teams. She helped win girls golf at the Pueblo Country Club, drove up to Colorado Springs, and helped the girls soccer team win the 3A girls championship.
I do remember it now that you say that.
Yep. Casey Miller's alma mater, the Wiggins Tigers. Do the Wiggins have a spring state championship?
Wiggins. Oh, man. I'm going to go with yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that they did well in track. I don't remember if it's girls or boys.
Girls track and field won the state title.
Hey, all right.
And how about Eagle Crest? We're going to wrap it up with the Raptors.
Eagle Crest. I'm going to say no. They were good on the list, not great. That's the only reason. That's my only reason of saying. I know they won state basketball, but that wasn't spring.
This is a little bit of a tricky one because it's probably something you're not ingrained as a CHSAA sport yet, but they won boys volleyball.
Okay.
So they captured the 5A boys volleyball.
That's a good state championship. You're right. It's not top of mind always, but
right.
You are correct.
So it's just a little bit of a primer. I really like my one problem with spring sports is this is the sprint of the high school sports season. Everything happens within about an 8-week period. So we're getting into it now, but
well, I always have a soft spot for the kids that play spring sports. One, because the weather often dictates how much anybody even knows whether they're happening or not, because they're so, so apt to change because of weather. And the other one is because I think whether it's parents or teachers or spring fever is a real thing. You have spring break right in the middle of everything. As soon as you get back, everybody's in a push for graduation. I do feel a little bit bad for spring sports athletes because they tend to be thrown into a blender of a million things everybody's thinking about, including getting all the games in. Most years, this one maybe not so much, since it's going to be 80 until August at least. But yeah,
it's gonna be 80 through April and then 90 to 100 from May to August.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Well,
So-
and that kind of coattails into, like, I really like spring sports. I obviously like baseball. I like golf. Lacrosse is always fun. So I kind of tried to identify 3 things that I'm really looking forward to when it comes to spring sports. And the first I came up with were the Team Colorado golfers. For anyone who doesn't know about the Team Colorado junior program, it's something that's building hopefully nationwide. And so these 8 girls are all on a team together, but they compete at different high schools. You've got Addison Hines from Ralston Valley, Ella Scott from Valor Christian, Zoe Barrower from Littleton, Ashley Chang, I believe goes to Arapahoe, Addie Dorsey from my Manitou Springs Mustangs, Landry Frost from Air Academy, Sophia Lee from Colorado Academy, and Tess Morris from Lutheran are all primed for breakout years. My one little caveat with golf is that the 4A Girls Championship is out at the Bridges in Montrose. A hill I will die on is that the Bridges is the best site for any golf state championship. And it's not just the course, it's the way that the community comes together and makes that a big event for the kids. So that's what I'm looking forward to on that end. Is there 5A baseball parity this year? Cherry Creek, your 2-time defending state champion, got 10 run by Arvada West to open the year, Dougie.
Arvada West has been good at everything this year.
Yeah, but how many times do you see Cherry Creek get 10 run?
Not very often.
No. So
ever.
The last 2 years, it's been Cherry Creek and Regis. So let's see if a little bit more can come out of the Centennial League or the Continental. Rocky Mountain's always a good team up there. Broomfield is a recent state champion. So I'm looking for some parity in 5A baseball.
I got one for you.
Sure.
I'm looking to see if Niwot can sweep boys and girls track again. They swept cross country this past fall. They swept track last spring, if I'm not mistaken. And this is just, I like to talk about dynasties, just teams that always do what they're supposed to. Niwot's runners are in a league of their own at this point in Colorado. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that just to see if they can continue their dominance in track and field.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. That leads me into the third thing I'm looking forward to, which I call the longest week in high school sports. Stake track begins on May 14th, and between then and May 23rd, we crown track, soccer, lacrosse, golf, and 1A baseball champions, all in like a 9-day period. And it is, we talk about the time at the Coliseum where I don't sleep. That week puts the week at the Coliseum to shame. So, Doug, we're gonna get out of here. I'm taking like a little half spring break deal, just trying to decrease the workload a little bit over the next couple of days. But we do have some spring sports letter winners and standouts to mention. William Marlott, or Mar-Olt, from Aspen Baseball. He's thrown 11 innings, given up just 7 hits, 0 runs so far, 14 strikeouts to 4 walks. The skiers have themselves a thrower.
Yes, they do. Speaking of skiing, I'm going to go to Telluride, where Austin Cook of the track and field team set a school record in the mile at 5:06:56.
Yeah, that's right.
That's about 5 or 10 minutes shorter than the last time I ran one.
Well, it's
Good job, Austin.
I'll tell you what, I went for a little run this morning, and any time your pace begins with a 5, you've blazed by anything I could ever do. So we finish it off with Julianne Dale from Arapahoe Girls Lacrosse. Dougie, I know you're actually going to be paying attention to the girls lacrosse scene a little bit. She's averaging 5 goals a game for the Warriors. They've played 5 games. I'll let you do the math. She's got 25 on the year, and she's got them playing well.
I saw Julianne in a preseason scrimmage, actually, of a 4-team scrimmage. And yeah, Arapahoe looks very good. They're definitely a team to beat.
Yeah, and that'll be fun to watch. so much spring sports action coming. We're going to get, we'll be diving into the nuts and bolts of all of it in the coming weeks on the Colorado Prep Show. We should have Jermaine back next week. He's just tending to a couple of things, such as the life of a Lutheran head track coach. But we're excited to get him back next week for Across the Mile High Sports Network. Nuggets looked good yesterday, Doug. I mean, right. I mean, Peyton Watson is back, and Ryan Blackburn. I saw his late night nuggets from Ball Arena. Our Nuggets guy is starting to geek out a little bit on this roster, so it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want to know what Jalen Waddle's going to bring to the Broncos, just go follow Cody Rourke, either Good Morning Broncos or the Orange Crush Show. He'll have you covered on all that as they get ready for now a draft where they no longer have a first round pick. So the draft is now boring for the Broncos, but we have, there's a standout receiver. So I don't know if that's a bad thing. And
that's right.
Colleen Flynn has all things Avalanche, and the Mile High Hockey podcast on the Mile High Sports Network will also be diving into everything as they make their push for the playoffs. They're still a favorite to win the Stanley Cup. So spring sports, the pro teams, we've got it all covered at Mile High Sports in Colorado Prep. So Doug, what if you had one potential spring sports or pro team thing to look out for, what are you keeping your eye on?
Well, I'm always watching the Nuggets just because I'm a Nuggets fan. But I think, just seeing if they're able to get to the playoffs healthy, I think if they are, I really do think they're a team that can win it. But aside from that, I will mention again, Niwot track and field. I mean, I always love a dominant performer. And so far they just continue to, run through the state.
Sounds like you want to perch at the finish line with your camera at Jeffco on May 14, 15, and 16.
I may see you there with a camera.
There you go. For Doug Ottewill, for Casey Miller, Jared Harding, Danny Bailey, thanks for being our guy behind the scenes. Appreciate you. This has been the Mile High Sports Show presented by Upswing, and we'll be back next week.